Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you a soap that I made that was inspired by your comments, especially on Facebook. When I posted my video of my Beetlejuice soap earlier this week, I received so many comments on Facebook saying how I should do a Cookie Monster soap, or that the eyeballs reminded you of a Cookie Monster. So I thought I would go ahead and make a Cookie Monster soap. So what you see here is I'm creating my soap for my embeds. I made one batch and I split it up into a white batch and a brown batch. The brown is going to be for the chocolate chips and the white is going to be for the eyeballs. I am wrapping the white soap in some plastic wrap because I don't want that to get really hard on me, because I needed to form them into these balls. And I ended up doing this about 12 hours later after I had poured the soap into these molds. So here I'm just creating the little eyeballs. And then I have some black soap that I had already packaged up, and I'm just adding the pupils on each eyeball. Next, it was time for me to create some chocolate chip cookies out of soap. So here I am putting the chocolate chips into my molds, and then I'm going to pour my chocolate chip cookie dough color of soap into each cavity. These are the same molds that I use for my chocolate chip cookie wax melts, and I actually created these molds from actual chocolate chip cookies. And this is what they look like after I unmold them. They look like real chocolate chip cookies, and these are actually soap. Next, I unmolded the brown soap that I made previously, and I'm chopping the brown soap into little chunks, and these are going to be the chocolate chips in my soap. And now I'm mixing up my soap batter for the actual chocolate chip portion of my soap. I'm adding my colorant, my chocolate chip cookie fragrance, and then I'm throwing in all of those chocolate chip chunks that I had made from soap earlier. And then I'm pouring this into my molds. And I posted this clip on social media yesterday, and you guys were so funny. You said it looked like beef stroganoff, sausage and gravy, cream of mushroom soup, broccoli cheddar soup. You guys were very, very funny with the comments. But this is actually chocolate chip cookies. So next I have to scrape the top of my soap to give it that drips look. And this is my scraper. And if you notice at the bottom of the scraper, I have a popsicle stick to keep it in place. This is important, and I'll show you why later. But I'm scraping all of this soap. And as you can see, the chocolate chips, because some of them were so chunky, they kind of dragged through the design. So I had to go over it several times. And all of that soap that I scraped out, I'm actually pouring that into another mold to make a smaller mold. And then when I went to use it on the right mold, I couldn't find my popsicle stick. So I ended up scraping the right mold without that popsicle stick in place. So I was just kind of guessing of where it had to be scraped. So I went over both of these several times until I had the design that I wanted to give me that drip look. Next, it was time to mix up that blue layer, which I will be pouring over the chocolate chip cookies to make it look like the drips on top of the soap. So I'm mixing all of this up, adding my colorant, my fragrance, and then I'm pouring this into my molds. In the leftover blue batter, I'm also pouring into my mini molds as well. And then the next day, it was time to cut the soap. And this is what they look like so far. I still have quite a bit to do with them, but this is what they look like so far. And the fragrance you can still smell the chocolate chip cookies. I have made another chocolate chip cookie soap before, and after cure, it had no scent at all. So I'm using a different brand this time, and I'm hoping that the chocolate chip cookie fragrance will last through the cure. And now I'm cutting those mini soaps, and these are the mini ones. And then when I went to cut the second mini loaf, I had an issue. When I was pressing down, it wasn't going down all the way, and I couldn't figure out why. So I moved a couple of the pieces. Remember that popsicle stick I couldn't find earlier? Found it! Apparently, when I was scraping out the excess soap into my mini molds, the popsicle stick went in, and this is what the popsicle stick did to a few of the bars of the mini soaps. The next thing I did was stamp my soaps, and I am stamping these to say nom nom nom, because that is the universal word for I'm eating something delicious, right? So, but don't eat these. Don't eat the soap. but I went ahead and I stamped all of my soaps. Usually I stamp my soaps at the end, but because of what I'm going to be doing to the tops of these soaps, I wanted to stamp them first. So the full-size bars say nom nom nom, and the little ones just say nom nom. Next, it was time to mix up another batch of the blue soap. And this is what I'm doing with it. I figured since the Cookie Monster was furry, he needed a little bit of fur on top of the soap. So I added a little bit of I piped on some fur using soap, and then I added a cookie and then the eyeballs. So after I was finished piping all of these, I decided to add a little bit more of the piped fur on top of his eyeballs to kind of make it look like the top of his head. So I went ahead and I added a little bit more piping to every bar, and then I was finally done with these bars. So these are what the final bars look like. I'm so excited. They turned out exactly as I had envisioned. And these are available on pre-order on my website right now at eartharella.com. And they will start shipping the week of August 29th because they do need time to cure before I can ship them out. I want to thank everyone for their comments, likes, shares, everything. If it wasn't for your guys' comments, I wouldn't have even thought of making a Cookie Monster soap. So thank you all for the comments, and I hope you love these as much as I do.